Tesla is about to add another tent to the Fremont factory, a pretty big tent in fact, and it points to one thing and one thing only. I think it was a good decision. Hello my friends and welcome to the channel. I'm the Electric Viking. Great to see you. Welcome to all the new subscribers. Welcome back everyone else. The channel's had some really good views over the past week. Thank you for watching our videos and for liking and subscribing. Been awesome. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Now, Tesla, what are they doing? Well, you all remember, right? When Tesla built a tent, or the press called it a tent. It's actually a permanent structure now. Anyhow, they built a so-called tent at the factory in Fremont where they were trying to produce the Model 3, and it was complex and difficult and everyone mocked Tesla, and yeah, that was kind of the low of lows. I think back then Elon was considering selling. He went to Apple. Tim Cook didn't return his phone calls, pretty much gave him a big snub, which I thought was one of the most arrogant decisions in human history and a bizarre thing to do. Why you wouldn't just take the call. But anyway, that's what happened. Tim Cook made that interesting decision there. But the rest is history. Of course, Tesla at the time were losing a lot of money, much the same way that Lucid and Rivian are today. They turned things around, became the only truly profitable electric vehicle company in history. And not only that, but they make more profit per car than, any other automaker, except maybe Ferrari or Porsche. And that tent, well, it became a permanent fixture. Tesla actually ended up putting in a permanent floor under the tent, permanent structure under the tent, and it became part of the factory. Why? Well, why not? It's space, right? And Tesla is in desperate need of space. So they're adding another tent to the factory, but it won't be used for production. Actually, it will, but it won't. Sort of will, but sort of won't. I'll explain what I mean. Along with the new tent, Tesla has filed for several other filings at Fremont, including Model S and Model X manufacturing line upgrades and an update to the battery equipment production line project that Tesla revealed in late August. Tesla has installed, well, they are installing a battery line in the second floor of the Fremont factory, so they can produce more 4680 cells. Getting back to the tent. So the tent isn't technically for production. However, the current tent, or the old tent, right, that Tesla uses, also known as a heavy-duty sprung structure, is used for the production of Model 3 and Model Ys. Tesla has two of these tents at the Fremont property that it uses for automotive production, which are commonly referred to as General Assembly 4 and General Assembly 4.5. The tents were initially thought to be temporary, but you know what? It's cheaper to build one of these structures than it is to build a factory. So hey, why not build it that way, save some money, invest that money into R&D or into actually staying alive. That's what Tesla did. And I think it made total sense to keep them because why not? They need the space, right? So Tesla has filed yet another exterior tent according to filings seen by Tesla, and the company doesn't plan to utilize it for automotive production, but it does in a way, at least not directly. Instead, the tent will be used to provide coverage for tools so that they can be moved outside the production space in the factory, so that production space in the factory can then be utilized better. So basically, they're going to take stuff in the factory, put it outside in the tent so they can free up space in the factory. Now, this tent is costing $140,000 US. It's pretty big. It's the most expensive tent in the history of tents, probably. But you know what? It's actually going to become a permanent structure. So although they call it a tent, the reality is it's just another way of saying a permanent structure, which is very cheap, affordable. A Morgan Stanley note from earlier this year indicated that Tesla was extremely confined in the factory in Fremont, and that expansion seemed the only obvious option. Well, Morgan Stanley, you guys got it right. Tesla clearly are extending, but doing it in a way that saves them money. I mean, why not save money if you can? I love that about what Tesla's doing. Why not think of the cheapest, most efficient way to build extra space? That's what they've done. Now, one of the things people probably ask is, why is Tesla's Fremont factory so restricted? Well, Tesla didn't actually build it to build EVs. It was an existing building. Tesla bought it off, I believe it was Toyota, and General Motors was involved somewhere along the way. They used to build vehicles there as well, but Tesla bought it for a very cheap price way less than it would have cost to manufacture. And that was back before, they became this big company. So obviously then they began to build two vehicles there. Well, initially the Tesla Model, initially the Roadster, then the Tesla Model S, then the Tesla Model X, then of course the Tesla Model 3, then the Tesla Model Y. So now they produce 4 vehicles at the one factory, and it's the only factory in the world that Tesla has that actually produces 4 different models of vehicle, which obviously takes up a lot of space. What I found interesting about this is the fact that Tesla is changing things on the production lines of the Model S and the Model X. In fact, changing so much that they need to apply for permits, which makes me curious to know, what are they changing? If you know, please let us know in the comments section below. Or let me know what your opinion is on what they might be changing. In late August, Tesla filed to build a battery manufacturing equipment line on the second floor of the Fremont factory. That project is going to cost about $1.5 million US. However, that filing is separate from a previous one, which also had a cost of $1.5 million. In other words, Tesla was doubling the investment there. I believe making 2 different battery manufacturing lines on the top floor of the Fremont factory, costing around $3 million US. Now that seems to me to be too cheap to actually be enough to produce a lot of batteries, but we'll have to wait and see what happens. Now, previous recent changes to the Model S and Model X manufacturing equipment upgrades included Tesla installing new rocker cell tools and associated utilities, which are automated arms used in production. So essentially putting in new robots. And on September the 20th, Tesla also filed to install a new subframe lift assist, which will help improve production associates ergonomic safety, which Tesla said will help improve production associates ergonomic safety. I'm not sure what that means exactly, but I do know one thing very interesting about Tesla. Ford has said Tesla's automation is way higher than theirs. In other words, Tesla use way more robots per car that they build, but they use far less people to build their cars. Now, Ford basically has fired, thousands of people this year. I think about 8,000 people so far. And they're planning on doing what Tesla's doing, trying to automate their workforce more by using more robots, obviously more efficient way to build cars. Now, of course, this does mean a lot less people having jobs, unless you can do what Tesla is sort of doing, which is bring more car manufacturing to the US. Now, obviously, General Motors and Ford, they've been outsourcing a lot of their manufacturing. And remember, a lot of their parts manufacturing, they don't do. I mean, for example, the biggest supplier of parts to General Motors in America is actually Hyundai. South Korean made parts being supplied to General Motors. Looks like it's American made parts. It's not. That's why General Motors doesn't have a car listed in the top 10 of the most American made vehicles right now. At all. Not a single model. And remember, Ford and GM, a lot of their cars are manufactured in Mexico. In fact, millions of them are. Clearly, even though Tesla does employ less people directly on their production lines, at least the cars are being made in the United States. Let me know your thoughts on that too. Thank you for watching. Have a great day. Bye-bye.